Welcome to Relation Tales. Please like this video and subscribe Relation Tales. Tim and Liam were sitting in a small room they called their den, located on the top floor of an old brick building in North Oakville, near Burlington. The room had just one window looking out over a partly empty parking lot and a small empty piece of land. Beyond that, they could see new houses being built in the suburbs. Sometimes cars drove past on the road leading to Dundas Street. Even though this area wasn't downtown, it connected the rural north of Oakville to its more developed south. The walls were covered with posters of superheroes and popular movies, making the room feel cozy and almost like home. Inside, there were lots of powerful computers, screens, and server racks. The air was filled with the soft noise of machines working and the clicking of keyboards. They were working on a complex program to manage inventory for a large client. The project was important for their small company, and their boss, Tony, constantly demanded progress reports. For the past few weeks, Tim and Liam had been toiling over creating a complex database management system. Liam secretly dreamed of one day starting his own successful startup. But for now, he enjoyed solving challenging technical tasks at Maple Tech. "Damn, this database is killing me," groaned Liam, rubbing his tired eyes. "Do you think we'll finish by the deadline?" Tim tore himself away from the monitor and rubbed his temples. "We must. Otherwise, Parker won't pat us on the head. Did you see his last email? He's already hinting at awards if we finish on time." "Yeah, awards. I can't wait to launch this project and forget about it like a bad dream," sighed Liam. "By the way, how's Bella doing?" "Haven't seen her in a while," Tim asked, trying to lighten the mood. Liam frowned. "She's fine. Says she's been busy lately, and her sister came to visit." "Oh, really? I hope you're at least having some fun. Maybe you'll have a girls' night out," teased Tim. "Yeah, right. I hardly see them." "Bella is always busy, and I'm stuck here with this damn database," Liam replied irritably. They returned to work, only occasionally exchanging words about the code. They had a habit of working late into the night, especially on Fridays, to complete important stages of work. The hours flew by unnoticed. Outside, it was already getting dark, and the street lamps were casting whimsical shadows on the walls of their den. Closer to evening, Tim stretched and said, "Listen, maybe we should order something to eat. I'm starving." Liam shook his head. "I don't think it's a good idea. Our usual pizza place on Friday evenings is always crowded, and delivery takes forever. Other places around here make you wait a long time, too." "Yeah, you're right. Parker picked a lousy neighborhood for the office. There's not one good restaurant nearby," grumbled Tim. Liam stretched in his chair. "Remember Kerr Street Cafe in downtown Oakville? It's not close, but their food is really good." "Are you serious about going there now, at this hour?" "It's at least a 25-minute drive each way," Tim said, surprised. "But our boss has an account there," Liam smirked. "I'll cover for you if needed. We can say it was an urgent client visit." Tim laughed. "All right, you've convinced me, you sly fox. Just hurry up, okay? I have a feeling we'll be stuck here for a while." Liam nodded and stood up. "Okay, I'm off. I'll order us something tastier since the boss is paying. Maybe they even have that blueberry pie." "Everyone's talking about Oh Man. You know how to motivate me," exclaimed Tim. "Now I'll definitely wait for your return." Liam smiled and headed towards the exit. Just as he reached the door, he turned back. "Hey, Tim, thanks for covering for me. I appreciate it, really." Tim nodded. "No problem, buddy. We're in the same boat. Remember? Now let's go before I starve to death right at my desk." With these words, Liam left their cozy den and stepped into the cool autumn evening. Liam exited the office and headed towards his car. The evening air smelled of smoke, decaying leaves, and the approaching winter. After the warm office, the cold felt particularly ruthless, and Liam raised the collar of his jacket. On his way to the Kerr Street Cafe, he pondered about his life. Work consumed almost all of his time. "Maybe I should take a day off and surprise Belle," he thought. "We haven't been out together in a long time." Friday evening traffic was just as bad as Liam had thought. He turned on the radio, hoping to take his mind off work and the problems with his wife. Eventually, he reached the cafe. The parking lot was nearly full, which wasn't unexpected for a popular place at the end of the work week. Liam had to drive around a few times before he found a space in the far corner. Walking past the parked cars, he spotted one that seemed like Belle's car. Impossible, thought Liam. She's at home with her sister. He shook his head and entered the restaurant. Inside the cafe, there was a lively atmosphere of a Friday evening. The clinking of dishes mixed with the buzz of voices and laughter of the visitors. Liam approached the counter next to the kitchen, where he was greeted by a smiling middle-aged waitress. "How can I help you, dear?" she asked. "Good evening. I'm Liam Taylor. I need to pick up an order made over the phone," he replied. "Of course. Let me check right away." "Please wait a minute," the waitress said and disappeared into the kitchen. Soon she returned with a puzzled expression on her face. "I'm sorry, but I couldn't find any order under your name. Are you sure you called us?" Liam frowned. "Yes, my colleague called almost 20 minutes ago. I drove across the whole city to pick up the order." "Are you absolutely sure you don't have it there? Who did he speak to?" "I don't know. Let me give him a call." Liam quickly pulled out his mobile phone and dialed Tim's number. When Tim answered, Liam asked, "Hey, they don't have our order. Are you sure you called?" "Yeah, man, you were standing right there listening when I called, weren't you?" Tim's voice sounded surprised. "Damn. Well, since you're there, wait for them to prepare it. I'll cover for you. I just finished talking to Parker. He called to find out how long, in my opinion, we'll still be here. I told him at least another 2 to 3 hours, so we have time." Liam confirmed Tim's order once again and turned to the waitress. "He says he called here. Listen, we have a project deadline and we still have a lot to do. Could you ask them to hurry so I can make it back on time?" "Yes, of course." "What will you be ordering?" the waitress asked, taking out her notepad. Liam placed his order and settled on a stool at the bar counter, waiting for the food. While he waited, he absent-mindedly watched the other patrons when suddenly his gaze stopped at a familiar figure. He saw his wife Bella dancing with his boss Parker, and her sister was having fun nearby. "What on earth?" Liam whispered, feeling shocked. He was going to go closer and see what was happening when suddenly Bella leaned in and kissed Parker. Liam quickly grabbed his phone and snapped a couple of pictures. Then he followed them as they left the bar. They walked across the parking lot to where Bella's car was parked. Liam was able to take a few more photos as they kissed next to the car. When they climbed into Parker's huge pickup truck, Liam continued taking photos with slightly trembling hands. He bitterly smiled upon hearing Bella ask, "Darling, what is that flashing light?" Parker replied, "Don't worry, dear. It's probably the headlights of passing cars. Relax, no one can see us." Although thinking about anything rational at that moment was a bit difficult, Liam quickly devised a plan. He wrapped a scarf around his head, trying to disguise himself, and resolutely headed towards the pickup truck. Swiftly swinging open the door, he pulled the stunned Parker out of the car and pushed him onto the asphalt. Liam then quickly rummaged through the boss's pockets. Taking the wallet and keys, he inserted the keys into the lock on the back door of the truck, hoping that in the chaos Parker and Bella wouldn't notice them and the car would eventually be stolen. Liam planned to throw the wallet out the window when passing through a rough neighborhood on the way to the office. Trying not to attract attention, Liam quickly returned to the restaurant and took his place at the counter. Soon, the waitress approached and said, "There you are. I thought you had left or something. Your order is ready." "No, I've been here all the time. I was on the phone. Sorry for not noticing you earlier," replied Liam, trying to speak calmly. "No problem. Here is your food." "Thank you," said Liam. He took the bag and left the restaurant. He took a roundabout way to his car to reduce the chance of being noticed by Bella and Parker. Before getting into the car, he saw Bella helping Parker climb into the truck, trying to calm him down. On the way through the city, Liam was shaking with anger. Twice he almost got into an accident, so absorbed was he in his thoughts. Finally, he pulled into the office parking lot and entered the building, carrying the food. He remembered to close the door behind him and angrily headed to their workspace. When he entered the room carrying the food bag, Tim smiled and said, "Finally, you're back. What were you doing? Popped home for a minute." Liam threw the food bag onto Tim's desk and almost collapsed onto the chair next to him. Tim turned and exclaimed, "What the hell?" He stopped, seeing Liam's face, and then continued, "Damn, are you okay, man?" "Yes. No. Not really. Bella was there. She was fooling around with Parker in the back of his truck," Liam squeezed out, his voice trembling with restrained emotions. "Damn, man. I'm sorry," said Tim, his face showing genuine sympathy. "Yeah, but it's not your fault." "Well, partly it is my fault," Liam sharply turned to Tim. "What do you mean?" Tim took a deep breath before saying, "I'm a system administrator. I was checking my email to make sure I only had work messages when I came across a bunch from Parker and Bella. They agreed to meet up tonight." He said he'd keep you busy here so they could have some fun. Man, I'm really sorry. I didn't want to say anything in case she changes her mind, or if it's not what I think. So, I sent you for food to check things out. That's why I didn't call you. I wanted you to stay there longer just in case I was wrong. Yes, but it turned out to be true. I have excellent photographic pictures of how they are having fun in the back seat, Liam bitterly smirked. Very sorry, Liam. What's next? Tim asked. I'm going to end these relationships and leave this lousy job. As expected, neither of the men could focus on work anymore that evening. They spent a lot of time discussing Liam's next steps. Liam showed Tim the photos and told him what he did with Parker. Tim laughed and said, That's good. If he shows up here tomorrow at work, we must make sure to give him a hard time, especially if he's being cautious. Liam sat in the chair for a while, then stood up and started gathering his things. Tim watched him for a while and then said, Hey man, are you leaving? We're not done yet, and I won't be able to finish without you. Yes, I'm leaving. To hell with Parker and his damn job, Liam replied, his voice full of determination. Very sorry, man. Liam, wait a minute. You can't just leave like that. What are you going to do? Go home and confront that traitor? And what about Parker? You can't just let him get away with it. You need a plan, or else you'll lose more in the divorce than you should. Come on, man, let's finish this and come up with a plan for you. They don't need more warnings than you have to give them. Liam stopped, hand on the door handle. He turned to Tim, his face a mix of anger and uncertainty. You're right, he finally said. I can't let them win, but I don't know where to start. Let's start by sitting down and brainstorming everything, Tim said, pointing to the chair. We have time and we have brains. We'll figure something out. Liam and Tim spent several hours making a plan. It was well past midnight when they finished and got ready to leave. As they stood by the office door, Tim tried to call Parker to lock the door and set the alarm remotely. Parker didn't answer, which made them exchange knowing looks. Strange that he's not answering, isn't it? Tim said with a bitter smirk. Yeah, very strange, Liam replied, his voice dripping with sarcasm. Finally, after 20 minutes of unsuccessful attempts, Tim called the head of security and said, Hello, this is Tim from Maple Tech Solutions. I can't reach Parker, and we need to lock the doors and activate the alarm. Could you help us? Before they got into their cars, Tim said, You know, this is nonsense. This is the only place I've ever worked where I didn't have a key or alarm code. If something happens inside after hours, we'll have to wander around until Parker or the security guard meets us here or disables the alarm. Liam looked at him strangely before saying, You know, it just occurred to me the only time we have to call Parker is when we work late. I wonder if it's because he's also having fun with other men's wives. I don't know, but I don't care. I'll make him pay for this. I'm tired. See you tomorrow, said Liam, getting into his car. Well, I guess I'll see you tonight. Bye, Tim replied, waving goodbye. When Liam got home, Bella still wasn't there. He was furious about what he saw and wanted to argue with her, but he was relieved she wasn't around. He thought she was probably still with Parker. Liam took a quick shower and fell asleep as soon as he lay down, sleeping until the sun woke him up. When he threw off the blanket, Bella was already awake on her side of the bed. Liam went to the kitchen, brewed coffee, and had a frozen sandwich for a quick snack. After drinking more coffee, Liam headed to work. He was still very angry and trying to figure out how to make Parker and Bella pay for their actions. When he arrived at work, he found everything in place except for Parker. He asked Sarah, Parker's secretary, where he was, and she replied, I don't know. I haven't heard anything from him at all. The day turned out to be long because Liam and Tim were still exhausted after working late, but the project was in its final stage. The rest of the group was busy checking the code and trying to upload the program before installing it on the client servers. Liam walked from place to place, observing the work and trying not to fall asleep. It was difficult for him to focus on work because of his discovery the previous night. Finally, it was time to leave, and he returned home. Bella was lying on the couch with a glass of wine, dressed in her old, worn-out robe. She had large dark circles under her eyes. When he entered the room, she looked at him with a guilty expression on her face. Liam immediately asked, Where the hell were you last night? You didn't even call to say you wouldn't come home, and then you didn't show up at all. And where is your sister? I thought she was supposed to stay with us for a couple of days. She got a call and had to leave early. I drove her to the airport yesterday afternoon, and on the way back home, I stopped to have a drink with the girls. It was awful. One of them was robbed in the parking lot, and I spent the night with her in the hospital. I'm sorry I didn't call, but the battery on my phone died, Bella replied, avoiding looking him in the eyes. And you couldn't find a phone at the hospital, borrow a charger, or use the nurse's phone? Liam asked, his voice full of disbelief. I just didn't think. I'm sorry, dear, Bella said softly. Yes, of course, you're apologizing. If I didn't know better, I would have thought you were out somewhere having fun. What do we have for dinner? Liam asked, trying to change the subject. I haven't had a chance to prepare anything yet. What would you like? I don't know, something quick. I'm tired. I only left at 2:30 in the morning and didn't fall asleep until 3 o'clock. I really don't have anything quick. Maybe we should order pizza. Yeah, okay. I'll go take a shower. While Liam was taking a shower, he kept thinking about how to get revenge and get out of the mess Bella had created in their marriage. As he washed, an idea came to him that seemed like it would work and be a sure way to find out about Bella's infidelity. Liam, standing under the water, pondered the plan of revenge and a way to get out of the situation that had arisen. While washing, an idea came to him that could help him uncover Bella's betrayal. Parker had only superficial knowledge of computers and programming. He held the position of a business manager, but his education in it was minimal. Despite this, Parker considered himself an expert and often caused problems for his subordinates. His clumsy attempts at programming showed Liam how incompetent he was. Liam decided to create a web page and post compromising photos of Parker and Bella on it. Then, he planned to send himself an email with the address of this site to have a legitimate reason to find out about their date. To do this, he needed to hack Parker's home or work computer and use it to create the page using the boss's personal data. On the same day, Liam went to an internet cafe and began working. Earlier, he had gained access to Parker's home computer without permission. Before setting up the web page, he did what many hackers do. He searched the hard drives for sensitive information. Liam was shocked to find a collection of photos showing Parker with various women. 2 of these women were wives of his colleagues. Liam copied the folder containing the photos to his own computer and then promptly started working on the web page. It took him several days to complete the programming and launch the site. Each action had to be performed and published on Parker's home computer to create the illusion that the boss himself was doing it. On some days, he couldn't work on the site due to personal reasons or because Parker turned off his computer. Once the site was launched and running, Liam began devising other ways to seek revenge. A few days after the site was launched, he prepared an email with a link which he sent to everyone he could find who knew Parker, Bella, or the other women. In this way, Liam supposedly learned about Bella's infidelity upon receiving the email. He shared this information with Bella and listened to all the typical excuses of an unfaithful wife. The next morning, Liam returned to work and encountered Parker, after which he immediately resigned, leaving the boss with another bruise on his face. The divorce process quickly took an unpleasant turn. Bella first tried to reconcile with Liam, and then she started a counterclaim. During this period, emotions reached a boiling point, and she decided to get back at Liam for daring to file for divorce. Bella took an unexpected step by informing the prosecutor about Liam's illegal business and online gambling website. This project was initially Liam's hobby, where he and his friends played poker with each other. Over time, the site grew and became available to players worldwide. Each new user of the site was provided with an initial capital in the form of virtual chips without any monetary equivalent, as well as a daily bonus. In the early days, if a player lost all the chips, they had to wait until the next day to continue playing. 2 months after the site was launched, Liam, acting as an administrator, started receiving numerous requests for additional chips. In response to this, he created a system that allowed players to purchase chips for real money and continue playing. Technically, this was not considered gambling, as users did not receive anything in return for their payments, except the opportunity to continue playing with the chips they acquired or bought. By the time his marriage began to fall apart, Liam had been managing the site for over a year, earning a significant income from it. Upon finding out about Parker's involvement with Bella, Liam was ready to quit his main job and focus entirely on developing the website. However, he wanted to finish the project he was working on with Tim first. Over the past year, Liam had added more games to the site, including card games and virtual slot machines. He was surprised at how much money people spent buying virtual chips, knowing they wouldn't get anything tangible in return. Liam was satisfied that all payments went to a bank account in the Cayman Islands. Officially, he was listed as an employee of the company and received a low salary. as far as he knew. No one even suspected that he was the sole owner of this business. Bella believed that Liam was just working as a contract programmer. Now, he was glad that it was so. She could claim a part of his small salary from the web company, but hardly anything more. Since leaving Parker's company, his official income had been less than Bella's. During the divorce process, Bella informed the police about Liam's illegal activities as the owner of an online casino. Law enforcement conducted an investigation and summoned him for questioning twice. However, since he was only listed as an employee and players did not receive real money for their payments, there were no grounds for legal prosecution. Bella's attempt to frame Liam only strengthened his determination to see the divorce through to the end. After 7 months of exhausting legal battles, the divorce process finally concluded. The court ordered Liam to pay Bella minimal alimony for 3 years based on the fact that he was still employed at the time of filing for divorce. Bella agreed to a lump sum payment instead of monthly installments, and Liam felt like he had finally gained his freedom. Not wanting to stay in the city where his life had turned into a nightmare, he decided to start afresh. Liam loaded all his belongings into a trailer truck and set off on a journey without a clear idea of his final destination. One of the first stops on his way was supposed to be a picturesque river where his grandfather and father used to take him fishing. In his childhood, they would set up camp on the pebbled shore, catch fish, cook it over a campfire, and eat right there. Those memories still made Liam's mouth water. Finding a familiar pebble shore, Liam set up camp just in time for an evening of fishing. The fish were biting well, and he immersed himself in the activity, momentarily forgetting the reasons for his journey. He savored the simple joys of outdoor life, swimming, fishing, and relaxing for 2 days until his drinks and supplies ran out. Leaving his makeshift camp, Liam got into his truck and headed to the nearest town in search of a grocery store. He found himself in a small settlement where, according to a sign, only 850 people lived. Despite its modest size, the town still had a small grocery store and a cafe that served as a gathering place for local farmers. Driving through the streets, Liam sadly noticed how much the town had changed from what he remembered. It used to be bigger and more lively. Now, many old houses were abandoned, and some smaller ones were falling apart. Signs saying, "For sale," hung on empty houses, making Liam wonder how long they had been empty. Many yards looked like they hadn't been mowed in over a year. One of the town's largest and most beautiful houses was hidden by overgrown trees and bushes. Only the glint of the metal roof could be seen through the thick foliage. This house had belonged to a doctor who worked at the local hospital, which was now closed. In the past, the hospital had 40 beds and was often full of patients. Now, it was just another empty building on the town's main street. Liam felt sad as he took in the sight. To Liam's surprise, the local small private telephone company was still operating. They had old equipment installed many years ago when his grandfather had a small cabin by the nearby river. This piqued his curiosity. Before heading out for shopping, Liam decided to have a snack at a local cafe. To his surprise, the telephone company had not remained stagnant. They now offered internet and cable TV services through their lines. After a delicious lunch, Liam returned to his truck and pulled out his laptop. He quickly settled at a quiet table and began working on his website, tackling tasks he couldn't do by the river using his phone as a hotspot. His actions drew a few curious glances, but no one bothered him except the waitress, who occasionally asked if he needed anything else. Liam was fully immersed in his work when he closed his laptop. The owner of the small cafe approached him and said, "It's not often we see this here. I'm thinking of canceling the internet subscription since only a few kids use it. I haven't seen you here before. If you don't mind me asking, what were you doing for so long? I heard you typing more than if you were just browsing the internet. Are you new in town?" Liam smiled and replied, "Yes, I don't mind. I'm taking a break by the river, trying to recover from an unpleasant divorce. When I was a child, my grandfather and I used to fish and camp nearby, and I enjoyed it. I decided to see if it would help me relax. As for what I was doing, I have a website, and I was working on some things on it that I couldn't do as well using my phone as a hotspot. I hope you don't mind." "No, it's fine. That's why we installed the internet, partly for ourselves and to help out. But I was hoping it would also attract customers," the owner replied. "The phone company gave me a basic video package for free for advertising if I agreed to pay for the internet. So I agreed. How long do you plan to work here?" "I'm not sure," Liam said. "Probably until I get tired and feel like moving on. Everything I own is in my truck or trailer. I left my old house after the divorce and plan to just drive until I find a place where I want to settle down." This was my first stop, and I'm not tired of it yet. Wow, freedom and freedom of imagination. It must be great, remarked the owner with a hint of envy in his voice. In a way, it is, Liam replied thoughtfully. But I've always wanted to find a place and job that I love, to put down roots, find a good woman, and start a family. It hasn't worked out yet, so I'm wondering again. Well, good luck to you. I need to get back to the kitchen. Let me know if you need anything else, said the owner. Heading back, Liam watched as the woman turned and walked back to the kitchen. Just before she entered, he called out to her, "Hey, if it's not too much trouble, could you bring me a salad, another burger, and some fries? And what time does the grocery store close?" "Of course, dear. I'll bring everything right away," she replied with a smile. "You might want to check out the store before dinner. They close at 6 o'clock, and it's now 5:30. If you don't go now, you won't have time to eat before they close. If you'd like, I can wait a few minutes while I prepare your dinner, and you can go get the groceries." Liam smiled and said, "Thank you. I'll do that. I'll be back soon." He stood up and headed towards the door. Liam quickly covered the distance of a couple of blocks and entered a modest grocery store. He methodically moved along, selecting items from his mental list. Canned soups, bread, chips, and a few cans of vegetables went into his basket. Then he headed to the refrigerated section where he added salad, cheese, deli meats, and even a couple of small steaks to his purchases. Like in most small-town stores, prices here were noticeably higher than in big city supermarkets. However, considering the cost of fuel for a trip to the city, they seemed quite reasonable. After quickly paying for his groceries, Liam went back to his truck. He carefully placed the perishable items in the fridge inside. His truck had a special device called an inverter, which meant he didn't need ice to keep things cold. There was also a small camping generator on the trailer that charged the batteries. This let him use the fridge by the river and have light at night. It also charged his computer and phone. With his shopping done, Liam went back to the cozy cafe. He was happy to see the hostess bringing a salad to his table, where he had spent the whole day. She placed a plate of salad on the table and smiled warmly. "Here you go," she said. "I put a burger on the grill when I saw you loading groceries into your truck. It won't take long." By the time Liam finished his meal, a few other visitors had appeared in the small cafe. Some came alone. There were couples and even a family. As he was paying, Liam heard from the hostess, "I hope you will come again. It was nice to have someone here during the day. Sometimes it can be lonely here. If you are still around, come for lunch on Sunday. My signature dish is roasted chicken with all the spices. Well, of course, we also have regular dishes." "Of course, I will come." "Thank you," Liam replied with a sincere smile and headed towards the exit. A few days later, Liam found himself in the city again. The first thing he did was head to the familiar cafe. Upon entering, he involuntarily stopped, noticing a notice board on the wall next to the cashier. There was a list of real estate properties for sale and a notice on the county's official letterhead about the sale of property at an auction on the courthouse steps for tax delinquency. The sale was scheduled for the following Tuesday at 10 o'clock in the morning. The cafe owner, whom he learned was named Mary, noticed his interest in the announcements and greeted him with a smile. "Glad to see you again. Liam, how have you been?" "Good, Mary. I need to buy groceries, so I decided to have another one of your delicious burgers," Liam replied. "All right. Do you want one now, or will you wait a bit?" "I think I'll wait." He lifted his laptop case and continued, "I thought if you don't mind, I'll do some work first." "Of course. Can I bring you something right now?" "Yes, a cold unsweetened iced tea would be great." When Mary brought him the tea, she asked, "I saw you looking at the notice board. Are you looking for something specific or just curious?" "Mainly just browsing," Liam replied. "I started looking at auction listings, and then I saw all these properties for sale. I was surprised to see so many properties being sold for tax delinquency. It seemed like there were 3 or 4 places." "Yes, those houses stay the same year after year. Sometimes a new one pops up," Mary sighed. "Dr. Thompson's old house is one of them. It's been for sale for 6 years now, and no one has even tried to auction it off. He didn't have any family left after he died, and no one wants the house enough to buy it. It's not unusual, though. Many houses in the city are up for sale, and only a few find new owners each year." "Where is Dr. Thompson's house?" Liam inquired, feeling a sudden interest. "You pass by it when you enter the town. You can see the courtyard from here. Do you see all those trees on the hill by the stream? Sometimes you can see the roof glistening when the sun shines on it. Yes, I see it. It seems to be quite a big house. Strange that no one wants it. Once it was not only the biggest house in town, but also the most magnificent. I don't know in what condition it is now. I wouldn't be surprised if it's in a very poor state. Kids probably broke the door and made a mess inside. A couple of other empty houses burned down because they broke in, smoked drugs, and set them on fire. Liam couldn't explain why, but he was intrigued by the large house hidden in the overgrowth of the yard. He felt calmer and surprisingly happier in this small town than he had felt in the past months or even years. Occasionally, during work, he would just sit and think about the old house and the tax sale. Finally, Liam managed to distract himself from thoughts of the old house and focus on work. Around noon, he closed his computer and leaned back in his chair. Mary noticed this and called from the kitchen. "Are you ready for lunch, Liam?" "Yes, thank you." "Mary, I think another salad and a burger. But can we add onion rings to the burger today?" "Of course, I'll bring everything right now," she replied with a smile. While Liam waited for his order, he struck up a conversation with a couple of farmers who hadn't left after lunch. One of them said, "I've seen you around here for a couple of weeks. Did you move nearby or something like that?" "No, not exactly," Liam replied. "I divorced my cheating wife, quit my job when I found out she was with my boss, packed up all my stuff in a trailer, and left. My grandpa used to bring me here in the summers to fish, so now I'm camping out on the same old gravel lot we used, trying to relax. I come here for groceries and sometimes grab one of Mary's burgers. I use her internet to do work that I can't manage with my phone's hotspot." "I thought you said you quit your job. What work can you do from a cafe?" the farmer asked with curiosity. "As a side job, I run a gaming website. I handle maintenance and upkeep of the site here, so I still have some money coming in." I don't understand half of what you just said. I suppose you're just one of those computer geniuses I've heard about. Listen, are you by any chance the guy who lives in the old trailer by the river?" "Perhaps I am. I haven't upset anyone, have I?" Liam asked with slight concern. "No, Joe is used to people parking and fishing on that gravel strip. Heck, everyone's been doing it for years. As long as you're not causing any damage or letting out his cows, he's not bothered." Soon after that, the two farmers settled their bill and left. When Liam saw Mary settling their bill, he decided it was time for him to leave too. He paid the bill and went to the store for groceries. After loading the groceries into his truck, he got inside and started driving out of town. For some inexplicable reason, as he passed by Dr. Thompson's old house, he stopped. Liam felt an irresistible urge to get a closer look at the old house. With considerable effort, he managed to push through the dense bushes, but he finally made it to the house. The building was 1.5 stories tall, at least according to local standards. Liam couldn't count how many rooms were in the attic, but he knew there were several. The walls, wooden porches, and windows showed signs of aging and neglect. The house badly needed a fresh coat of paint. All the windows were old and made of wood with single panes, yet surprisingly, none were broken. The galvanized metal roof still shone in the sun, giving the house a touch of elegance even in its current condition. Liam felt a bit guilty, but he found a window he could open and carefully climbed into the old house. For almost an hour, he wandered through the rooms, carefully examining every nook and cranny. As far as he could judge, the old bones of the house, its frame, were still in very good condition. The layout of the rooms was more fortunate than in most old houses. On the 4 or 5 acre plot, there were 2 outbuildings, a detached 2-car garage, and a small barn. When he finished his inspection, Liam struggled to get out of the yard, got into his truck, and returned to the trailer by the river. Over the next 3 days, he couldn't stop thinking about the old house and how much he liked the small town. On Monday morning, he drove back to town and stopped at the old house again. He walked along the same old path to the back of the property and carefully inspected the buildings and the grounds once more. Something in this house continued to draw him in, and he sat on the steps of the old porch, gazing at the overgrown front yard and pondering the possibilities that this forgotten corner held. Liam sat on the porch of the old house, lost in his thoughts until almost noon. Finally, he stood up, took one last look at the abandoned building, and walked back to his truck. The end of the first part. The second story, not cheating, but it feels like it. My husband owns his own business, and I knew he'd need an office assistant. He hired 2 nice ladies, but one of them makes me feel uneasy. She's young, charismatic, and a good person, but I feel insecure about how she acts around him. She jokes a lot with him and often asks for hands-on help. They also talk in his native language, which makes their connection feel more special. One day, he came to the office early and was eating a piece of fruit. He offered me some, but I said no. Then he offered her some, and when she hesitated, he told her to take a bite and fed her with his fork right in front of me. I confronted him about it later, and he apologized, saying he didn't mean any disrespect and understood why I was upset. He used to call me every morning, but now he doesn't. We have 2 kids and have been together for 14 years. I've told him how their behavior makes me feel, and he insists it's just business and that he wouldn't risk our marriage for her or anyone else. Still, I can't shake off this uneasy feeling. He says what I want to hear, but their friendliness continues. She's outgoing and bubbly, and I don't know if I'm overreacting or if my concerns are valid.